Okay, everyone, to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today I have a really cool review for you from the brand Seiko. Now, they were founded back in 1881. They are Japanese in origin, but now have factories throughout Asia. They cover all market segments, from entry level to high end. Now, this particular type of watch is a dive watch. Some key common characteristics in design language: when you're looking for a diver, you're going to want water resistance, typically through some type of screw down crown. You're going to want something that's tough, legible, with a dive time bezel, and a diver's extension is always nice if on bracelets. This is the Prospex model SRPH59, which is a US special edition, and it's been released this year. When I'm recording this in the year 2022. So it's basically an updated King Turtle that celebrates Prospex' ongoing efforts to promote ocean exploration and conservation. King kind of being a fan nickname for when Seiko upgrades existing models with things like updated dials, ceramic bezel inserts, and sapphire crystals, etc. Now, these go for a very reasonable price of $750 full list, or you can actually go to Belmont Watches in San Diego and pick it up online for $587 at the time of recording. Could be even lower by now. So definitely keep an eye out there. Big fan, and I definitely appreciate Belmont Watches for working with me to get this piece in for review, because I just can't keep buying every single Seiko that comes out. But there are definitely ones that I think are really cool, but you know, just because of the nature of my collection, you know, I have probably 2 or 3 turtles that I just don't wear enough, so can't really add a 5th. So with that said, let's zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Alright guys, as you can see, you got the whole layout here, kind of outer box sleeve, you got the, you got even the tags, everything is new, unworn. You get the little pamphlet here, which will go into some, stuff about turtles. Very cool. And you can see, of course, this dial design is inspired by the turtle shell, but my goodness, you know how Seiko is. They're not just going to take inspiration from nature, they're going to turn it up. So holy cow, this is this might be one of the better dials on a dive watch, under a couple grand. You just don't see this very often, and what I really like is that it's still really cohesive in terms of the design. And man, I really love the shade of blue that they used in this insert here, the ceramic insert. Also, part of kind of the King Turtle upgrade is you do get, as you can see, the more defined grips there that look a little bit more milled versus molded, which I think is great. You are getting 120 clicks out of this bad boy, so let's hear it. Oh, very nice. Just a touch of back play, as you can see, but lines up. I love how smooth it is, but you're still getting nice clicks, nice tactile interaction, which is great. Very nice. So lines up well. In terms of the bracelet and everything, not really any updates versus what you had before. But you are getting, of course, now this lovely upgrade. You're getting sapphire crystal, and you're not getting some weird, chocolate bar magnifier on there, which I think is a nice look here, a little bit cleaner and crisper. I just can't get over how beautiful this dial is, and just look at that. Look at the texture. And just the way that when it transitions, you're not only seeing the light play with the texture, you're also seeing the light negotiate the actual pattern in terms of the coloring and the color blocking. So very, very, very cool, and I dig it. And then, of course, you're getting this strap. You are also getting a built-in diver's extension, but thanks to drilled lugs here, you'll be good to go in terms of just throwing on a dive strap if you really want to get there. So let's get into some of the dimensions here. 45 millimeter diameter, but probably one of the most wearable 45 millimeter divers you're ever going to wear. Because of that beautiful cushion case style shape. It's only 13.2 millimeters thick, so not very thick at all, especially considering that it is 45 millimeters, across. And then it's about 47.2 millimeters lug to lug. You're getting nice example of brushing and polishing. Not quite a luxury level or anything like that, but you guys know Seiko is really well known for really nice finishing for the money, especially when you think about the volume of pieces that these are coming out, as they're going through the assembly lines and whatnot. Inside, you're going to have the Seiko automatic 4R36. So since it's a 4R movement, you're not getting the additional benefit of the Sprawn mainspring and whatnot, which does extend the power reserve out. So that's a bit of a drawback, but you're also saving money because it's a 4R movement, which is great. And when we get into this dial itself, some of the details, you're getting those nice raised indices. You're getting that textured gradient blue. You're also getting a kanji date wheel, which is really cool. You're getting that day-date complication, which I think looks nice and still well balanced here. And of course, that turtle shell inspired pattern looks great. You're getting polished and painted hands because you're going to get pretty much, actually, it's all polished. I was thinking that maybe there was some painting on the tip, but as I look, it's pretty much all polished. And then, of course, Seiko Lume Bright, very thickly applied as well. And then this is a diver's 200 meters. For it to say that means that it actually has to be, it has to meet or exceed ISO standards to carry that text. And so you better believe that this is a dive watch, even though you can wear it as a desk diver, even though you can kind of have it as this commemorative piece, or maybe you're, kind of do it all watch because it does have sapphire, because it does have that beautiful dark ceramic insert there on the bezel. It can do, you can have it running multiple purposes, but it's also still going to be ultimately capable in terms of being a dive watch. I mean, these turtles in general, the plain turtles, they're probably some of the most actually used dive watches. It's almost like the Miata there's some of the most raced cars or little Miatas. Probably the most dived with mechanical dive watches are going to be SKXs and turtles. So definitely a nice tie here, and they even have the Patty edition, which, hey, if you want to go get Patty certified, you can treat yourself with something like that as well. So very cool, and not that you have to be certified, but it just kind of comes together. You create a little event for yourself. But you can see here there's a lot to love. Decent package, you're getting a lot here. These alone, these straps are not cheap if you were to buy them separately. So the fact that it comes with it is very cool. And then of course there are a lot of aftermarket bracelet options if you want to throw it on a Jubilee or something like that, or beads of rice. Those options are out there, which is nice because this is a very popular silhouette that's, was really the marketing replacement anyway for the SKX. And before the SKX was popular, there was the older version of the turtle was there, so it kind of just reclaimed its space. And I really love to see it commemorated in such a way that still makes it pop and stand out. I definitely dig that. So when it comes to this bracelet, it does have pin and collars, so that's how it's connected, but everything is solid. You're getting solid end links, solid links. You are going to have stamped in terms of some of the folding section here, but that's pretty par for the course for a Prospex watch. What else? Everything, of course, you guys can see the brushed and polished details. And yeah, it's got a decent taper. It goes from 22 down to 20. So it's not going to be overly tapering, but the good news is if you do put something aftermarket onto this piece, you can get a super vintage taper if that's really what your heart's desire. So with that said, let's go ahead, get this off the pillow and draped on the wrist to see how it wears. All right, guys, as you can see on my 7.5 to 7.25 inch wrist, wears really, really great. Even if you get up close here, where typically, the lens distortion is going to make things look oversized, it still looks really well centered on the wrist. Has a nice flat, it's typical Seiko, right? You got the nice undercuts. This thing is just really comfortable and wears really well for a larger watch. And then the nice thing is because of that dial ratio, the dial itself isn't super huge or expansive. It's, because you do have that nice chapter ring, which is actually really well aligned. Oh, check that out, man. Maybe I will have to buy this. So just check that. I mean, this thing is sweet. It just has great proportions. Everything you loved about the Turtle reissue still is awesome, but now you're just getting really, nicely upgraded and appointed changes there. It's definitely evolved into being a little bit more of a well-rounded excuse me, sorry about that. And thank you to those of you wishing me, gesundheits and blessings and whatnot. Sorry about that. But this thing is really, really nice. I like the colors a lot, and I'm hoping that the camera is really capturing that. That color play is fantastic. I mean, down to the way that there's the bezel insert, the chapter ring, the gradation from the outer portions towards the center where it gets brighter. It just has a really, really nice flow to it. And absolutely the cool thing is, it just still looks like it means business, but it is special, right? It's like a special, it actually is a special edition that is commemorating something. So very, very cool. But let's get it off the wrist and work on some Lume shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. Whew. Whoa, actually, I gotta hit the backlight as well and get it fully dark. There we are. Now we're rolling in the deep. Check that out. Now, as far as you guys can tell, this is going to be your standard Seiko Turtle, which is not a bad thing. It's extremely legible. Look at that great orientation in terms of the 12 o'clock. It's very clear with the kind of double indice there. Everything is applied very thickly and very thoughtfully. And then, of course, you do have the nicely shielded Lume pip there on that nice ceramic insert. But one thing I like to work in is low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of the field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to be coming in and out of the building, walking underneath an overhang, the shade of a tree, or maybe just spending time in your favorite automobile. Or you might even just be out diving. So it's nice to see what these watches look like in less than optimal lighting, because you'll often find yourself in more transitional lighting. But you can see, even with all the glitz and glamour added to that dial, it is still very, very legible. The level of contrast against each indice and each marker and hand and every little piece there that's kind of working in harmony is fantastic. Also, what you can notice is as the light glides over the brushing on that bracelet, look at how uniform that is. Very, very well done, from that perspective. And then, of course, look at the dial, the way that it's just reflecting and absorbing and just doing wild things with that light, which is fantastic. You're also seeing the way that the light is being quite different when it comes to the way it's reflecting off of that really deep dark navy ceramic insert. So you do get quite a lot of play, even if I get into some harsher high contrast lighting. Now look at the way that ceramic is just absorbing the light as it comes, and it just irradiates this beautiful blue and then you can get into here, and it's, you know, going to look a lot darker with just a couple of pops and highlights here and there. Man, this one is a fun one to look at. Whew, I could probably do that all day, but I'll spare you guys and just get into the closing thoughts. So on the wrist, it wears more like, I'd say, a 42 or 43 millimeter. So the specs can be quite deceiving. It definitely captures that retro vintage silhouette. Even if you don't recognize the iconic looks, you can definitely tell that this thing means business. It's extremely comfortable in spite of those larger specs, which is, you know, a bit of a hallmark for Seiko, but this is a really famous silhouette. You know, being a Seiko turtle, it's just one of those quintessential dive watches. And then if you throw it on that dive strap, it is just ready to go, which I think is outstanding. In terms of model variants, there's definitely tons of turtles at this point. You can even get mini turtles. You can get the non, you know, which I guess kind of just got known as the turtle reissue. And then there's the king turtles, which are going to have a kind of this cool grenade-like grid pattern on the dial, and, you know, get that bezel upgrade, the bezel insert upgrade as well. So there's just a lot there. There's even some great, I mean, tons of great dive straps you can get to include, you know, fitted end ones that just make it look a little bit more modern and a little bit more premium, which is something that's fun you can play with as well. So there's, you know, the great thing about Seiko is that they are very supported in terms of kind of aftermarket parts. In terms of comparable models, you know, the King Samurai models are available too, and they're kind of within that same range in terms of, hey, classic Seiko diver, but let's throw sapphire in there, let's throw some ceramic in there, let's make this thing look really great and make it pop. And there's also those variations as well, but for me, this turtle, it just, you know, it just hits so many marks. I love kind of the juxtaposition between the modern and contemporary with the vintage retro styling. There's just a lot there to appreciate, and I definitely do appreciate that. So for me, bottom line here, this is a very iconic tool watch, reborn and reworked, you know, with all of the expected modern updates. So you're getting all the stuff that you used to long for, or you used to have to buy parts and mod or pay somebody else to mod for you. Now you can get something really great out of the box. Then you put this on an aftermarket bracelet, and that's about all you need to do. I shouldn't say you even need to, but if you wanted to really take it up and make it, you know, that much more kind of high class and high end feeling, you could absolutely do that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't, please subscribe for more content just like this. And one last time, big shout out to Belmont Watches out in San Diego. Definitely check the links in the description if you want more information on this particular piece, or maybe you might want to even buy it. So with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.